A group, the Voices for Food Security Coalition, made an advocacy visit to the National Assembly to redirect the agitation for the speedy passage of the Right to Food Bill. The bill has been with the lawmakers for more than 8 years. The proposal was sponsored by Dr. Gyang Stephanus Dong at the Federal House of Representatives. There are concerns which hover around affordability of the bill. At the core of this concern is the perennial reluctance of government to be accountable to her citizens. Joining us in the studio is rural environmentalist Ropo Egbeleke. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Let's understand the Right to Food Bill properly. Help us put it in proper perspective. What are the key contents of the bill? What is it advocating for?
Yeah, the Right to Food Bill is advocating for the access to adequate food for an average Nigerian that is vulnerable. It looks at the three components to recognize we have access to food as a right, to protect that right, and in fulfillment, because it tends to seek for the amendment of the Chapter 4 of the Nigerian Constitution, where this statutory right are stated, in which food is not part of the right in the Chapter 4 of the Constitution. So you cannot hold the government accountable. Although government promises, in the campaign, the people will say they are doing policies in agriculture, and even the school feeding programs, all these are not justiciable. If they fail to do it, you cannot hold them accountable. So what this bill is saying is that after right to life, we all know that if you give birth to a child today, the next thing is to feed him or her. So we don't want right to food to be as a favor, access to food as a favor, but as a right and obligation of the government to make sure that every citizen has the capacity to produce or means to purchase food, in which is not in the present state in Nigeria. All
right, so but with the National Assembly now, we understand you've presented it to the National Assembly and it has suffered some setback. Why is that? Could you tell us?
We made the advocacy visits to the National Assembly last week. We discussed with the sponsors of the bill, and we also have conversation with some other key members of the National Assembly that are involved, that knows about the bill. From our feedbacks, what we got to know was that the bill, they are looking at the affordability of the bill, the financial implication of implementing the bill when it comes to law. And also, there was a concern that the misconception that people might come and say anybody can just wake up in a day and say, government, I'm hungry, come and give me food. It's my right to food. But that kind of misconception coming from the arena of the lawmakers shows that they did not even read the bill. It was stated clearly. Inside, it's just a 2 pages bill, 2 pages. It was stated clearly the people that can derive this right, the vulnerables, the internet displays, maybe people with disabilities, the people that are not physical. Let me quickly state it.
Okay.
A person shall not be regarded as having been deprived of food in contravention of this section if the person is physically fit or able to walk or find food or not consider a disadvantaged person or belonging to the vulnerable groups in the society. What is so difficult?
And that brings me to the next question. The bill protects these people. Yeah. And vulnerable people like this are in different parts of Nigeria. Some of them are far away from where the nearest local government is. How will this bill, when it becomes law, compel the enforcement of the rights of these persons in accessing food?
Yeah, that is what the bill is saying, that if it becomes a right, then the masses, we can hold the government accountable. That is your responsibility. There might be litigations. Let me give you an example. There was this litigation that was in Geneva, General Assembly, was even discussed, and about the Ogoni environmental spillage. the fish, the farming, the food crops, everything in oil spill has destroyed everything. It's the General Assembly and the United Nations cannot hold the government of Nigeria accountable, because it is not a right. It is not stated in the Constitution that the government should protect the right of the masses. For example, the government can wake up in a day that they want to do developmental project and they want to do a massive construction. They accumulate lands that belongs to farmers. We call it land grabbing. This bill protects the farmers, that you cannot take away my means of production of food, or in the space of, we just look at environmental beautification and you just clear people away from where they are any livelihood.
Okay, but what you say now, it's more like the bill has a lot of goodies,
yeah,
more or less, for the people. But now that the National Assembly is yet to pass this bill into law, what is your initiative or your coalition doing to ensure that this bill doesn't suffer another setback if it is presented before the National Assembly?
We are calling the masses for them to understand that this is a political conspiracy to perpetually ensure that the masses are in hunger. If we can have $1 billion I mark for insurgency warfare that have been technically defeated, 70 billion naira for ordinary election of 3 days, we know how much that was used to fueling the presidential jets during in London for months. If we want to continue looking at even the salaries of the lawmakers, so that is to say that we have enough resources to make sure that there is nobody that go hungry in this country. So I don't understand if there is going to be any lawmaker that will not want to pass the right to food bill to make sure that people do not go and sell their vote at the level of 1,000, 2,000 naira during election. No, I used to tell people, if you don't know, if you campaign from here to tomorrow, 2019, youth are taking over, we are taking over from where? Your vote will be purchased at just for 1,000, common 500, 1,000, even a bag of 3 cups of rice. People are hungry.
All right.
Yes, Mr. Egbeleke, let's hope that the protection, the rights of vulnerable persons, i.e. physically challenged, poor, and other categories of the less privileged will be of utmost concern to the legislators as captured in this bill and, of course, in other bills at the National Assembly. We thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much. Yeah.